First off, I'd like to thank Lawrence Jackson for taking his time out to talk to us about life, football, and gaming in general. It means a lot to MGN Sports and Maximum Football. And of course, don't forget the classic 1998 Flutie jersey. I had to break that out for this interview. Tell the people where you're from and where actually you grew up at it.
Well, thanks for having me, gentlemen. It's an honor to be here to speak football with you. I'm born and raised in Inglewood, California. I've been a West Coast guy pretty much all my life. Had the opportunity to go to USC, play some football there. Very, very, very unique time period where we had players, the coaches, the fans, everything was in sync. And I had the opportunity to go play in Seattle and in Detroit, and really had a chance to see a lot of the country, but had an opportunity to move back home and couldn't pass that up. So I'm back where it all started.
As of right now, like your free time, what do you have for hobbies and what do you like to do for, just hanging out and stuff?
Yeah, for me, one of the biggest things is being creative. I feel like as humans, that's our ultimate objective, is to create on earth, whether it's in a hobby or professionally with whatever work you do. But for me personally, I enjoy having an environment that allows me to do what my mind and heart wants in terms of creativity. And so I spend a good amount of time, exploring what my heart wants and really diving into those interests. And over the past 10 to 12 years, been able to streamline some of that stuff. So I bounce back and forth between certain things. But everything is generated around information.
Cool. Kramer, you want to ask some questions?
Yeah, so why was it that football you gravitated towards the most? Like, why did it just stand out to you saying, hey, I'm going to play football for a living?
So I went to the snow. It was Mount Pinos. My brother and I, first time in the snow. And there was a snowman. And a group of people were taking pictures with it, had like a mohawk, all of that stuff. And so we're like, 15 feet away at this point, and I'm trying to walk slow, so wait for them to leave. And so they left, and I watched Charlie Brown Christmas up until this point, right? But now to go back to remind you, I'm from Inglewood, so it doesn't snow out here, so I don't really know. And so the snowman is probably like, I would say like at least 5'8", right? I would have to say 225 if I had to give measurements, right? But I take off thinking that I'm going to go straight through the snowman. And as soon as, like, the closer I got, the harder I ran, and I put everything I had into it. Boom! I swear I think that might have been my first concussion. But when I got up, I told my mom, I said, I think I want to play football. I played street football and all of that stuff where we play sideline pop. But, that was a form tackle. I said, yeah, I think I need to take this to organized sports. So that's how I got into it, organized. But I loved it. It just happened to be one of those things that I noticed that I was better at than everybody else. In basketball, I could barely do what the big guys could do, let alone what the little guys do or did. But in football, I could do what the little guys could do way better than they could. And so seeing that and actually getting picked first for a chance, for a change rather, that felt good. And so just seeing how people respected what I could do with football, it just made it easy to see that this was something that I excelled at.
So what was that first thought when you got USC on the line and say, hey, we want you to come play football? Like, what was going through your mind when you got that D1, a high caliber school like USC, just to be like, hey, come play here?
It was, for me, it was different. I was blessed to be on a great team in high school starting my sophomore year. And we broke the California State rushing record, still hosts. I think we had like 7,400 yards or something on the ground that year. Probably ran the ball like 98% of the time. And We ran a double wing, and so I was the solid side tight end. Um, but our running back got a lot of attention. Some of our older players got a lot of attention. And I remember getting pulled to the side by one of the coaches when I was a sophomore. And he was like, "Hey, Lawrence, the coach from Kansas came up to me. He was like, 'Who's number 18?' And he was like, 'Oh, that's Lawrence. He's a sophomore.' He said, 'I'll take him right now.' And so when the coach told me that as a sophomore, I'm like, oh, if a coach from Kansas is ready to take me now, imagine what I could do once I like actually get good and, really hone in on a varsity level. But, the next year, my sophomore year, my brother had come to Inglewood. And so he and I were playing football together for the first time. And the next year, he the next year was his senior year, my junior year, and he got a chance to get recruited by SC, Oregon, Wisconsin, Arizona, UCLA, a bunch of different schools, and we would go up to USC games quite a bit. And also, one of my high school alum, Sandy Fletcher, played at SC before I got there. So when they recruited my brother, Sandy was able to talk to, the both of us. So now my brother just chose not to go and wanted to get out of LA. And for me, once the scholarship came, it was really a culmination of hard work. I was in a great position after having 2 years of exposure. I didn't really have to play my senior year to get a scholarship. It was like solidified. And so once, all the scholarships officially start rolling in with the top schools, it was pretty humbling. I think that um, the one scholarship that I'm most happy about is the Miami scholarship, just because at that time it was they were coming off of the Nebraska national championship, and I had a chance to go up to SC actually while they were training for the Nebraska game at the Coliseum and watch practice and watch them lift and all of that. And it was like, that was the first time I realized, hey, like I'm actually like an elite high level player because I fit in with these guys. I just need to get stronger and stuff. And so I started to see, football a little bit different, guys like me and even better and stuff. But when I got that scholarship, that to me was the pinnacle of prep sports at the time. And to have Randy Shannon come out to visit Inglewood High School was also a big thing, because prior to that, he only came to the West Coast for DJ Williams. So that scholarship was really special. And to be honest, Coach Shannon, I wouldn't have been able to go to SC without Coach Shannon. My father wasn't going to let me stay home, and I had to really sell my dad on why SC was a good fit for me and why it made sense for me long term to stay home and go to SC, where he hadn't seen, everything that I saw in terms of some of the inner workings. But without Miami, I wouldn't have been at SC.
As Lawrence Jackson's with us here on MGN Sports. So how was that transition going from USC now to the pros? Like, you've had your first round talent, of course, man. So I mean, like, what was that like? Like, boom, there you go.
It was an interesting learning curve, but with SC, Coach Carroll did a great job of preparing us for pro football. He did run practice the same way that they ran practice, but his version. We were ones against ones, so I went against Sam Baker every day. My freshman year, I had to go against Jacob Rogers, Winston Justice, Alex Holmes, Dominique Bird, John Drake on service team for 30 plays in a row, and so that's how I got. And Jacob Rogers, I don't know if I said him, he's like the first guy that I know for sure pancaked me against my own will. And I had to make a choice in that scrimmage, like, hey, either you're going to be a man or you're not, but this can't happen no more, and so getting to the NFL, it was very easy making that transition, just having so many elite guys that have gone through SC that I've had to play with or against and competed. So yeah. Hold on a second.
No. Okay, you're good. By the way, Jason, feel free to pop in any questions.
Okay, no, I'm cool. I just want to step on you, that's all.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine.
I might go back and edit
That was a good story.
the intro. Oh, yeah, it is good. I told you,
Yeah.
If you had about a weekend and a case of beer and just sit down and listen to some of the stories, I bet, yeah.
Oh, I was not expecting the snowman thing at all.
And you know what? TJ actually said, too, if it goes 16 minutes, let it go 16 minutes. He'll edit down what he wants. He goes, this is going to be a personal interview. He wants to get, to touch that. These athletes are like us.
Oh, yeah.
Just like us. So.
Yeah, so I still have, I think, I got 4 questions left, but I mean, that one I just it popped in my head just out of the blue.
Yeah.
So it's my sports radioism is pot right now.
Yeah. So I'm starting to think if I'm recording your screen right now, if I look at the video, that's the clip I'm going to save, will it show our side like that, the pictures here and everything? I've never done it before. I'm not sure what it shows.
I think so. I really do. Because are you using OBS?
Sure.
By chance, how are you screen recording? Yeah, sure.
Yes,
I'm using OBS.
On the bottom of Zoom, it says record, and when I tried it yesterday, I went to my file.
I didn't know. I didn't. Okay, well then that should work then. I didn't know they even recorded like that on Zoom. I should have been doing that. Yeah. I even see it on the top left right now. It says recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a backup thing going. That's even better.
Yeah. See, I wasn't sure. Like when I ever watched the previous ones with you, I didn't see the boxes here, so I'm not sure if he wants to edit that out or when he keep them there. I don't know.
He'll probably. He even said that he's like a wizard with getting editing stuff in to where it works fine.
I've seen his stuff. I know it's crazy. I know. I think it's the last part of the week though. This is it. Once we get this video, we're done for week 4.
Yep. And then I'm just gonna probably I'll say if you want to send him your recording and I'll send him mine. I'm just gonna trim the end, the beginning and the end off and say, hey, boom, there you go. Do what you need to do with it.
And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna redo the first part of my question and then just put them in.
Let's go roll on to it. Smart. Smart. I wish I knew how to put a background on like how Lawrence has his. I gotta.
Are you on a laptop or a desktop or what?
I'm on a laptop right now. Got me my Surface.
So I don't know if they have like an option where it says more, but where you can find like the chat, meeting settings, minimize meeting, raise hand, disconnect audio.
Okay. I've seen that before, but I don't know where I can find it now.
Got you. Well,
it's not a big deal for me.
It has a virtual background feature though.
Oh, sweet. Okay. This is my first time ever doing like a Zoom meeting that I'm not at work at, and I usually just record audio at work. So it's like, and it's pretty much brand new to me. All right. Where are we at? All right. So yeah, let's go back into this. We'll go back into it in 3, 2, and 1. Lawrence Jackson is still on with us here at MGN Sports. So, you played football, and if you played pro football, you've probably played Madden before. How was that like knowing that you were in a video game and you can use yourself and be like, hey, that's me out there making a tackle on a video game?
It was pretty surreal. I think that to some degree, I wish I would have purchased every game, from 08 to, 12 and kept it open, just for that memory of it. But it's definitely special having grown up playing Madden as a kid. I did grow up on a PlayStation, later converted to Xbox, but Madden is a huge part of who I am as a person. I'm not always the best at it, having to obviously play, as a job and all of the things that, come with that. I'd rather give up a little bit in Madden. But there was a point in time in high school I ran with the Dolphins and would kill you with OJ McDuffie and some of the other guys, but then I ran with the Falcons. But it's cool to see yourself on there. And I was in the league with my friends, and I traded myself, so I can't, I don't harbor any feelings against anybody. And I traded myself for a 6th-round pick. And I had studs, I wanted some value. My friend was like, come on, man, it was so weird. He was like talking to me about trading for me on the game. And I'm like, dude, I felt so embarrassed by it. Like, how could I negotiate a deal for me, like buy me with my friends? So I'm like, all right, just offer it and I'll like let it go. He went on to be, I think he got like 20-something sacks that year. He was like, I told you he was a beast, man. You shouldn't have never let him go. Not for a 6th-round pick. I'm like, man, you played me. But yeah, so it's fun seeing that stuff and understanding that, for me, the ratings are also a big deal, and understanding that to not have such a high body work for them to determine, the real true score, to be above just average, it's good. And I think that being respected in that way was awesome. But even with the college, I was on the last couple of games there, and being an impact player, I think that was huge. Just the idea of, football was different when you had college and Madden, right? And so to play with yourself on college, in college, that's a lot crazier than playing with yourself in Madden on the NFL, right? Because you've played with yourself before on a video game, but that first one, it's like, whoa, that's me out there. And then if you're an impact player, it's even like crazier because everybody's using you like that.
And we all know, and everybody, even the people in the media knows this, but we all know you guys talk about the Madden ratings in the locker room. Was that like something that everybody was talking about once the new Madden dropped when you were in the pros?
Believe it or not, man, it's one of those things that is actually not even talked about in a locker room like that. I think that it's more so like guys interacting with fans and, the media on it where, um, you know, if anything, it comes up in the sense of, oh, I saw you, tweeted EA Sports, mad at your rating, huh? What they give you, something like that. But it's not like, oh man, like I hate these Madden ratings or whatever. Most of the guys don't play like that, You got a lot of guys who um, just into different stuff, But it's all fun.
So now that you've, I mean, of course, played the NCAA video games, now the Madden, now we got Maximum Football that has pretty much best of both worlds. I'm assuming you've heard of Maximum Football. Like, what's your take on having a college video game back? You want to call it that, and also having a pro league back with that, and just all in a different game that's not EA.
Yeah, I think that it's time for that. I was a big fan of NFL Blitz and also NBA Jam, the alternative versions of the games. I think that's needed. It's a healthy form of competition. I don't think that any one company should have exclusivity on something that we all consume anyway. That just means that you have the money to be able to buy it, not that you deserve it or you can put out a better product. Not to say they don't put out a quality product, but to have the simulation aspect of it and really be able to open up the game experience and not the video game experience, but the football experience with all aspects, right? I feel like that takes it to another level where, um, you know, with betting and fantasy sports, the individual intellect, the individual IQ of football is something where this provides an outlet for that sort of competition, right? To be the better thinker in football without having to be the better athlete. I think that that's amazing and giving people a chance to be involved on a whole slew, of levels. But, for me, just the idea of having this college environment, right, with everybody so involved on different levels and so many inputs that can affect the final product. It's great, and I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it and seeing how it is myself.
So with Maximum Football, they have a simulation league that's going to be happening. I don't know if you've heard of that yet or not, but it's something that people who just watch the game on their couch all the time and be like, I can be in a football video game and possibly be like Lawrence Jackson someday. I can go my ranks up. Is this something that like intrigues you a little bit with all the esports simulation stuff popping up that people are gravitating towards a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I think that with the sports version of esports, right, it's kind of taken a backseat to, the action fighting, battlefield or whatever it's called. But with sports and non-user sports, right, where I have a buddy who's really good at Madden, but he kills me on the post every single time, right? He knows how to hot route his cornerbacks in like man coverage, and he just knows how to do stuff where I'm like, dude, I'll never play you again, right? And so um, with this, we all have knowledge of the game that's not dependent on game controls that are altered every year, right? And so to be able to get back into football without having to play is, a cool opportunity, right? And then to be able to look at like what would you do if you had a university to run, right? What would you do if you had to oversee the recruiting process, right? It's easy to talk about these things, and it's easy to critique these things. But once you get in and you see the scope of work involved and the authenticity, the character, and who you have to be as a recruiter, as a coach, as a CEO or athletic director, anything like that, I think you get a new respect for it. But it's something where people need, people want, people crave, and I think they should have it.
This is $1 million question for you, Lawrence? Are you going to participate in the simulation leagues? Your guy out there, like getting some heads. You know what I mean?
Man, look, just tell me what I can't do. It's easier to start there, right? Can I be
Fair
part of
point.
the 131? Dude, like, where can I get can I get a team somewhere? We might win a national championship. We might be
That's true.
you never know. But I also might be relegated to the cellar.
I think that's it for me and all the questions. You got any more questions, Jason?
Did you want me to ask about the award after him?
Oh, that's right about. Yeah, go for it. You can ask.
I think he knows a little bit about it, but yeah. So Lawrence, are you aware that MGN is working with us to do the simulation league, and we're in charge of actually doing the awards, and we're going to name the Defensive Player of the Year award the Lawrence Jackson Defensive Player of the Year award. So I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I'm humbled and honored first off, but it based off what I understand, this must be a thinking man's award. I'm joking. No, it's pretty cool. I think that for me, playing the game your way is different from playing the game the way that it's supposed to be played. And I don't think that people understand the difference between the game and the entertainment aspect of it, right? Like you see my pass rush and you feel a certain way about it. But my coach sees that pass rush and sees the situation, the set, the play call, all of that stuff, and knows exactly what I should be doing and what I shouldn't be doing. And so to have the opportunity to execute the way I did in college at that time under Coach Carroll and to perform and be highly effective in the NFL. Was it 2010? I was the most productive player on the Lions on a per play basis by Pro Football Focus. You don't get those things by accident. especially when your collegiate resume says what it says, right? And so for me, I personally feel like you are who you put on film, and I think that I played the game in a way in which requires toughness, tenacity, character, focus, attention to detail, different things like that. And I modeled myself off of some of the greatest players of all time. My position, not my position, but on the same side of the ball, other side of the ball, whether it's Strahan, Mark Gastineau, Ronnie Lott, uh, Ray Lewis, Urlacher, LT, even the Simeon Rice and Jason Taylors, and the Purple People Eaters, the Steel Curtain, all of this stuff is part of who I am. I grew up watching NFL films as opposed to the games. On Sunday, when 10 o'clock hit, that's when I first can go outside. So I was outside playing. Only thing I remember was the theme song and the view of Green Bay, as I was walking out, because as soon as it hit 10, I could leave. So I was out. But, LT, all of those guys seeing the game, what's happening on the field, I've always been captivated by that. And, for an opportunity like this, it's just a tribute to what all the people before me have done for the game and how they've been able to shape the way I play. Even a guy like Troy Polamalu, once I saw him play versus Auburn in 2002, changed my life. So this is something that celebrates, the best of football and being a follower and following people who've, taken the right path and then turning into a leader. And once you turn into a leader, having followed, things like this happen. And so I'm truly honored, humbled, and grateful. It's something that I like, to talk to my family and friends about it and share. Just because it's esports doesn't make it any less special. This is something where the future is growing, and the time is now. But I'm happy about it. I feel great knowing that the respect that I've long sought for how I play the game, is being realized, and my heart is still open to it. So I appreciate that. Your career is your career, but at the end of the day, you're still a human. And even if you play football, you can be Brett Favre, right? You still have to be approachable. You still have to be a human, because we all get out of this place in one way, and that's death. And so while we're alive, we have to love, embrace each other, and share in our similarities and grow through our differences. But, I feel like I won a MasterCard sweepstakes that say, hey, you're going to college for 5 years, and you played again and you're going to the NFL. So it's still unbelievable to me. I'm a fan of the game first and foremost, and I love it just like you guys, and you guys make me feel just as much of a football fan as I felt growing up. So I appreciate that.
Hey, thank you. Hey, this is your time to shine. What do you want to plug? Anything you got out there? What you're doing right now? The floor is yours. What you want to say on that part?
I just want to remind people about the power of love. Love is deeper than this emotional aspect of caring for one's emotional state. Love is action. Love is not allowing your neighbor to suffer when you have plenty. Life is lived one day at a time. It's easy to hoard for a tomorrow that won't come when you have a brother or a neighbor that's suffering right now. If you can help somebody, whether it's a smile, a phone call, a text message, no action is too small. People don't understand how little love some people get. When I was depressed, I just wanted somebody to smile at me, to know that I was seen, and that's love. It's not some grand thing that everybody can see. And so if you have a chance, which we all do, to increase the amount of love that we give, find a way to love. Understand love in the sense of the Greeks. There's 7 different categories of love, right? Eros is the romantic love, but we have agape, that's pure love, the love that Christ had for us. These are things that we need to stay in, and these are things that we need to model. The world doesn't change by protesting outside. The world changes by protesting personal mediocrity and striving for personal excellence. You can only do that by love, loving yourself and letting that self-love permeate throughout the world. So we don't know what tomorrow may bring, but if tomorrow does come, love, because it's easier than being angry.